Hey YouTubers, Mike Martin's channel. Mike Martin's here, of course. I got a really good article. We've been hearing rumors that they want to change the stress test. We've been hearing rumors that the stress test needs to be loosened a bit. The stress test needs to be refitted, and the stress test is basically calling for um, changes so we could get the housing market thriving. Well, here's the deal: the Canadian housing market is seeing an uptick in sales. Why? Because people are leaving major cities into small towns. Now, he says here in this article in Economics on BNN and Bloomberg says, I would frown upon it. Pelot's on calls to loosen mortgage rules. He does not want to loosen mortgage rules. Why? Because these mortgage rules should have been put in the time of Moses. 100%. People that don't qualify to buy or don't qualify to make the repayments back in a scheduled manner and service their debt should not be borrowing. Period. Now, the stress test came into effect about a year and a half, 2 years ago. I think it's a year and a half now. Now, the stress test basically is a gauge that takes your total debt service ratio, takes what you make, takes what you pay out, and kind of throws you into like a graph of where you potentially will sit, of how much you make and how much you're borrowing. So the graph would go like this and this, and it'll tell you how much you could borrow. There's a lot of stress tests out there that banks offer online for free to tell you how much you're allowed to borrow now. Now, what's happening? Well, here's the good news. This model is working for every other city outside of the Greater Toronto area, and the Vancouver surrounding area, Lower Mainland. This model works in Winnipeg. This model works in Ottawa. It works in Nova Scotia. It works in Saskatoon. It works all over Canada. But for some bizarre reason, this model is not working in the Lower Vancouver mainland area and the Toronto area. Why? Because housing is dangerously over 3.5 to 4 times the average person annual income. Now you're in severely dangerous territory. Toronto, I remember it going 12 to 16 times the average income. Yeah. So if you're watching this in the US, yeah. Same thing happened in Australia. Australia, I think, is like for every dollar that they make, they owe $2 and something. So that's how bad it is too. So Canada's almost at $2 for every dollar they make. So people are drowning in debt. Now, how have they been masking this for so long? People have been tapping into their homes as HELOCs. Their HELOCs, their second mortgages, whatever you want to call them, lines of credit, home secured lines of credit. They've been tapping into that. And what's happened with that? A lot. I'll tell you what's happened with that. They've been tapping into that and they've borrowed more than they could chew. And they've been paying basically and like living their lives by borrowing from their lines of credit. Okay? But now they have to pay that back too. So people are drowning in debt. So now that homes are going down in price, anyone that bought in the last 3-4 years, if they didn't touch their HELOC, there's a lot of ifs and buts where you'll be in a safe zone for a little while now as prices still continue to decline. Give it another 2-3 quarters, because we're going to have to return. We're going to have to strap back at least 12 to 16 quarters of growth in British Columbia to actually bring it back to normalities of what people actually make. Now, they're raising property taxes. Well, they're going to have to raise property taxes. This is how it works, guys. Property prices are high. Property taxes are low. Saying, hey, I'm getting a great deal on my property tax. No, you're not. You're still paying the same if your house is worth $300,000. Well, how does that work, Mike? Well, no, because if your house was worth $3,000, your property tax would be sky high through the roof. Because the cities need to flip and pay their infrastructure. Now, with the amount of millennials and young people and boomers leaving the major cities to smaller towns for a more comfortable, affordable place to live, not only is that rising the prices in smaller towns, like I'm one of those statistics, I've moved from a small town, from a big city to a small town, and I contributed in raising the housing pricing here, but I wanted to live somewhere affordable, right? And people complain about me coming in, but they don't complain about foreign investing that come in and launder $200 billion. But they complain about the average Canadian moving around in the country. But that's a topic for another time. So they're going to continue raising property taxes as prices come down. So cities are doomed for this because cities have a budget. They have medical. They have police. They have garbage pickup. They have street cleaning. They have a lot of stuff that they need to fit in that budget. And the public sector won't work if the private sector isn't there to pay taxes. With companies closing, with property taxes going up, companies are just going to close. And a lot of companies have closed and laid off anywhere from 100 to 200 people, I've heard, and read articles on this channel for you guys. It's crippling. It's bad. Stress test needs to stay in place because it's going to protect the next person that comes to buy when he doesn't qualify. You know what I'm saying? They protected me too. I wanted to get a mortgage, a first mortgage on my house because I don't have a mortgage on my house. I bought my house in cash, free and clear. I saved for a down payment in Vancouver. I bought a house in Merritt in cash. But I went to go do a mortgage at the bank because I wanted to buy a building, and I was $30,000 short, a commercial building. I was $30,000 short, and the bank said, no, we can't do nothing for you because you're business for self. But they protected me because before the banks, before the stress test came in, I could do stated income. I could just state how much I make. And I would have got that mortgage. But now they've protected it, and they've protected me from buying a commercial property. Very smart. So it works in both ways too. Now I don't have a commercial property. I have to worry about all the hidden fees. I'm happy I don't own a commercial property in town because of all the hidden fees with the cities. With the city here locally. It's phenomenal. So forget that. Goodbye. So that's good for me. Because then I started really doing my research and realizing that this would have been a bad business decision for me. Luckily, I didn't, and I put my money in high dividend stocks. Problem solved. The money I had saved. So the stress test does work, and it does protect people. It's protected me. So I could have went in there a year and a half ago and used stated income. This is how much I make. Okay, sir, here you go. Sign right here. Here's your first mortgage on your house. Like, you don't have a mortgage on the house, but now you do. But now I still have mortgage free. So let me know what you guys think. I want to know what you guys think about this, where it's headed, and how property prices are starting to see a correction. They're far, far away from a proper correction. So we'll see what happens. We'll kind of feel it out here on the channel. Let me know what you guys think about the stress test. Has it corrected? But I really don't believe the stress test has a lot to do with it. Even if they put interest rates to zero, I think Canada and Australia and New Zealand are still in trouble. Even if rates go back to zero, people are so in over their heads right now. And not only that, you got the foreign capitals outflows going on, and this huge money laundering scam going on here in Canada, where there are roughly $200 billion laundered through Canada. $200 billion, not pesos, laundered through Canada. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below about this whole stress test fiasco. Has it stopped you from buying a home? And are you actually now grateful that the stress test stopped you from buying? Because right now, that property, if you looked at that property you were going to buy a year ago or 8 months ago, you would see it has gone down in price. Let me know. Comment below.